Hello everybody and welcome to the God is a Geek podcast, a podcast that's usually about video games but sometimes goes off on the most wild and unpredictable of tangents. I am your host this evening, Daniel Murphy, and I am joined by recently arrived back from Japan, Greg Hill. Greg, how are you doing?
I am fine, how are you?
I'm not too bad at all. I'm just, I'm hosting again. I think this is like the second time, and last time I hosted it, Colm just fucking derailed me when I was doing my outro. It was all very hectic. And also joining me, for now, because we've got a special guest later, which I'll talk to in a minute, is coming back on for the first time in quite a while, I think, is Mr. Mike Stubbsy. Stubbsy, how's it going?
I'm quite concerned that you said that we got someone else coming on later and then said that I'm only here till that happens. Like, I thought I was here for the whole deal.
You are here. Wait, what? Did I say?
Yeah, you were like,
I meant for now.
Joining me now until we have a special guest.
Joining me as well, what I meant to say was I'm only joined by these three lovely fellows now because later on, after we talked about the games we've been playing this week, Mr. Tymon and sorry in advance because I'm not very good with Polish pronunciations, but Tymon Smektala, the producer of Dying Light, will be joining us for a chat on all things Techland, Dying Light, and of course the new expansion to the Dying Light, The Following, which is out this is recording a week in advance, so next week maybe, or the week after. I don't know, time's a confusing concept. And going back in time, speaking of, is something you've been doing recently, Stubbsy, haven't you?
Have I? Oh yeah, Cry Primal. Yeah,
come on, you just squandered my best fucking segue ever.
Oh, I thought you was gonna lead with the other one. To be fair, and I was like, is it set behind in past times? But yes, Far Cry Primal. I played that. It's very good.
Is it? Like it's intrigued me because it's such a different, such a different concept to like Far Cry 3 and 4. And it's almost like how with the Assassin's Creed games, like Assassin's Creed Black Flag was basically, it had Assassin's Creed in the title, but it's a pirate game, whereas this feels like it's a caveman game just with Far Cry in the title to sell stuff. Would that be like accurate at all?
I wouldn't say that because it's Far Cry in every aspect, apart from it doesn't have guns.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and for me that's great because I always hated the guns in Far Cry. And would get the bow as soon as possible, and now your only weapon is the bow. So, like, it's perfect. In fact, no, that's not true. You have a club and a spear as well, but the bow's the only one worth talking about. But everything else is Far Cry. Like, it's same engine. You can tell that, like, looking at the map,
it's got that. It looks
the same. All the systems are the same. The crafting is there, and it's very similar. I think they came out earlier today and said don't call it Far Cry 4.5, but it kind of is Far Cry 4.5.
That's what I was going to ask. Is it, like, size-wise and scale-wise? Obviously, you played a few hours and actually played a bit of the campaign, I believe. Is it, like, scale-wise and map-wise, is it as big as the previous Far Cry's, or is it a bit like a stopgap, so to speak? Like a bit of a smaller.
Really answer that with any authority because the build that we played was focusing on showing us the story, and because of that it jumped around quite a bit. So we never got to see the full map size, and like the bits that it could have jumped forward 10 hours of gameplay, or it could have jumped forward 30 minutes of gameplay. I don't know, we didn't find that out.
Right.
But I played 3 hours, and there was a jump of a certain amount of time, at least a couple of times in there, and by the end of that time I had only just got introduced to the second of the two main bad guys. So there's going to be a decent amount of gameplay there, based on the story alone, and then you've got like your side quests and all that jazz to do. So it won't be a small game. Whether it will be the same size as the other Far Cry's, I'm not sure.
So story-wise, like, how does that seem? Because cavemen didn't speak any like understandable language. How is the story conveyed? Is it in just grunts and ers, or do they have them speak in English and stuff?
They don't speak in English if I recall correctly. They have detailed subtitles though, which is always helpful.
Okay.
And no, they definitely don't speak English because you pick up the odd word like Wenja, which is your tribe name, and people like that. But I'm sure they don't actually speak English.
I think I read an article that they did. It's like a kind of their own language. I can't remember what it was called, but I remember reading an article about it, and it's like a big like in-depth language. I'm pretty sure. Maybe that's actually a load of pish, but I'm pretty sure there is like it has its own kind of unique language. I think it looks pretty cool.
Yeah,
That
I'm glad
wouldn't
they've done
surprise me.
that. I'm
But
glad
it's,
they've not.
it's all subtitled, so it's all good.
Yeah,
Like, you
they
can
could have
understand
easily have
what's
done
going
it
on.
in English, couldn't they? And that would have just like ruined the actual like immersion of it, so to speak, just a little bit.
I think
Well,
like a lot of games get that wrong. Like I think if it's set in a different country, or like obviously I mean this is a totally different like time period completely. Like I think having a different language kind of makes it a bit more I don't know, more real.
It's
I
like
suppose.
Assassin's Creed Unity, whereas everyone would speak in a posh English accent, but would occasionally go "we." It's like it just. What's
there
the
was
point?
Yeah.
there was Geordies in Assassin's Creed Unity.
No, don't.
So as you're
don't
walking
even
down the
start.
street, you hear a Geordie accent. Oh, fuck.
So what does the story? No, what is it? What is the story from what you've played? What is it? What's the crux of it so far?
Well, there's a lot of tigers. You
Alright.
you start
is.
out and you and your mate you're crawling through this big ass mammoth herd, and you're like, right, we're gonna pick off a mammoth to eat it. And there's like two of you at the start, and you think, oh, this is not going to end well because it's fucking mammoths. They're massive. Turns out it does end well. You kill the mammoth, and then as you're like having a party because you killed the mammoth, big ass tiger comes, attacks you, and like kills all your buddies. And then you like fall down a massive cliff, and the tiger's nowhere to be seen. And you're almost dead. So you kill some goats, for no apparent reason, and then you basically find tracks of this other woman, and she's a Wenger who is like your tribe, but you've never met her before. So she's like suspicious of you, and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to kill you." But then the tiger returns. Then there's another tiger attack,
Damn.
which you end up saving this bird, and then she's like, "Oh, now we're besties because you saved my life. I'd really like to quite make a village with you, but we can't have
How
a
our
village with
blossoming
just the two of
relationship
us.
start.
So you've got to go out and find some more people to bring to our village."
Okay.
And then you go off, find some people to bring you to the village. You bring back like this shaman bloke who was pretty cool. He drugs you.
Typical Far Cry, that really, isn't it?
And then as you're like having a bit of a party because you kind of got your village going, big bad guy 1 comes. I think he's called Ull, as in ULL, which is a ridiculous name.
Yeah.
Um,
It really isn't. It sounds like a Yorkshire. It sounds like someone from Hull saying they're from Hull.
Oh my god, I'm never going to be able to unhear that now. That's just like ruined the game.
Sorry about it, everyone.
He comes, he kind of grabs you and says, "This is my land, get off it." But it's more intimidating than that because he's like massive. Like I think in my preview I compared him to Brock Lesnar.
Oh man,
So
that's
it's
scary.
basically
Yeah.
like, imagine if Brock Lesnar grabbed you, but half his face was like burnt and scarred and stuff.
Does
and
Hull
he-
have a big fucking dagger tattooed on his chest though?
He didn't. His chest was covered, so he might. You never know.
Oh, you never know. Imagine for a minute that he had just a big dagger tattooed on his front, like it's
just-
revealed.
Imagine Paul Heyman was stood next to him as well.
Yeah. Paul Heyman is king. Oh,
But yeah, he like tells you to get off his land, so you decide to kill his friends and burn one of his camps, and then
Right.
that's where it sort of skipped forward. And then we got introduced to this other tribe, which is much cooler because they actually have something other than being big guys with spears.
yeah.
This other tribe like start burning your like Wenger people whenever they find them, like keeping them alive, but burning all of their body. And
Jesus.
it looks disgusting. Like the first time you see it, there's this guy in your shaman's tent who is like burnt to a crisp, and he's in so much pain that the shaman ends up snapping his neck, to sort of put him out of his misery.
Yep.
And this tribe, like they use fire to sort of destroy everything, and then
Yeah.
you go fight them, burn their camp, and then build ended, demo was over. So that's all I can really say. Kind of feels like there isn't a massive reason for fighting. In fact, no. There's a reason for you fighting them. There isn't really a reason for them fighting you, other
Mad
than
man.
get off my land, which is a bit shit.
So are you enjoying it? Do you reckon it's going to be decent when it comes out? Because there was a bit of skepticism at first when it was first announced, mainly because they went to the past and didn't have dinosaurs in it. Like, but that's a question actually. What was the wildlife like? Because obviously you can control it in Primal.
Yeah, like that's kind of a cool feature. You can tame sort of an all manner of beasts, mainly the big ones. Like I don't think you can tame a goat. Although I
I'd
don't
do
really
that,
know why
riding a
you'd
goat
want
into
to.
battle. Oh, he does that. What, isn't there a fit? Oh, it's off fucking King's Quest. The merchant in there has a goat that like pulls his
yeah.
cart and he
Yeah.
puts a horn in it. It says it's a unicorn. Mr. Cup Cheesecake, I think, something like that. Please carry on.
Yeah,
Tangents.
but yeah, you can tame beasts and basically have them as your bestie. So you can like point them at an enemy and say, "Bestie, go kill them," and then they go and kill them. So, like, I think one of the shaman missions that we had to do to recruit him to our village was the one where we first get to tame a beast, and you get this like big ass white wolf thing. And in the early stages, it's really overpowered. Like, you can just stand back, set your wolf on them, and everyone dies. So it's kind of cool, but I kind of hope it's toned down a little bit for final release, because otherwise there's going to be no incentive to kill anyone. You're just going to set your beast on them. But you can get like jaguars and stuff, which was kind of cool. But I didn't really experiment that much with it.
It certainly sounds interesting, because with like Far Cry 4, they experimented a bit with like riding the elephants and whatnot, and always, you know, the animals in Far Cry have tended to just be used as like just to kill enemies, really, hasn't they? So yeah, it sounds interesting. I take it there's the old still the outposts that you have to destroy, and well, I don't know how you would like not how you like disable alarms when alarms don't exist.
Yeah, I don't think there's alarms, but there was like one of the missions was going to one of All's like stronghold places, taking out all the guys, and then burning it, which is kind of cool.
That sounds good.
And like fire plays kind of a big role, because I don't know if you ever played Far Cry 2, but fire in that was an utter bastard, because like if you set set one little thing of like bit of grass on fire, you would be engulfed in flames within about 20 seconds, and you would just die.
You know, I really would like a remaster of Far Cry 2, because it seems like so different to most things.
No, it's shit.
See, you say it's shit, but I've heard like of so many people that it's like a lot more like, because it is realistic with it just continuously shits on you with the jammed guns, malaria,
It is
fires.
not realistic, because every other 10 minutes it goes, "Oh my god, you've got malaria again."
Yeah, I suppose, but it's like it's punishing, isn't it? It's not. Whereas Far Cry's literally, well, Far Cry 3 and 4 and whatnot are just like sandboxes of destruction. It's Far Cry 2 is a lot more you're being punished rather than you doing the punishing, isn't it?
Yeah, which is shit, so don't play it. It's not worth it.
Only power fantasies for Mike. Another question I was going to ask you. You know, when you actually, is there a point to hunting animals in Primal other than crafting? Surely eating should play a part in like the actual survival aspect.
I don't think that's a thing. I think there's.
I feel like that's a bit of a opportunity missed. You know, I think they didn't have to be really strict on it or anything. It could have just been like it refills health or something like that. Bit of a shame.
I can see that. Yeah, kind of. I did for one of the missions. I did have to go kill some things. But that was for crafting a building. So I think it is just crafting based.
So in general, are you impressed by Primal? Think you'll enjoy it when it's fully released?
I'll enjoy it because it's more Far Cry. It doesn't really do anything revolutionary, but if you like Far Cry so far, you're going to like this.
Fair enough. Greg, how much are you into the Far Cries at all? Are you interested in Primal?
I haven't played. I didn't play 1, 2, or 3. I did play 4. I got a review copy of it. No, it wasn't my review copy, but like the site's one. I put so many hours into it. Like I must have put 40 hours into it, and then I kind of eventually just kind of wound to an end. But I thought it was absolutely great. Like it was one of the best looking games up until that point that I had seen on PS4, because I just thought it just was like, it just looked so realistic. And I remember the Shangri-La section in Far Cry 4. I don't know if you remember it.
Yeah, I do, because I hated it.
See, I thought it was terribly like kind of designed like gameplay, but then like I just thought it was like one of the best designed places like in a video game
look at
ever. It was just I was stunned. It was spectacular. But Primal, I don't know how I feel about Primal yet. I've seen the kind of gameplay videos and I've read stuff about it, but I was kind of skeptical. I feel like they maybe should have put. I'm back at the kind of reveal. I felt like they maybe should have put it as its own IP. It felt like it could have actually made it as its own.
Yeah,
kind of.
I agree. That's what I feel like.
If they did that, then it would have been too close to Far Cry. Like the actual gameplay of it would have been so close to Far Cry. Everyone would be going, "Well, this is just Far Cry. You just put a different title on it to con us." Yeah,
maybe true, but I felt like it was so. I mean, my experience with Far Cry, I felt like it was kind of so outside the box. It probably could have passed, but I'm excited for it. I think it's like a kind of cool, different take. It reminds me of that game, Wild, that's coming out as well.
Oh yeah, I agree.
I was looking at Amazon the other day and I saw that and I was like, fuck, that looks so good, but they look kind of similar, but
Mm-hmm.
I think Wild maybe looks a wee bit better.
Yeah.
Just because it's a wee bit more.
It seems more focused on the animal stuff rather than the combat stuff of Far Cry side.
Yeah,
I think.
it feels like a kind of bit more unique. So I don't know. It could be kind of a 2-horse race of those two, but I think Primal does look good. I think it'll probably be like worthwhile picking up. We'll just need to see. I don't know.
Well, I think it's interesting from Ubisoft's point of view of doing Primal because it's such a. It's not. It's very the same formula type thing, but it's like I said, they've removed guns, which was the massive part of 3 and 4. I think it's good of them to change the formula a bit so soon before it gets too formulaic. Because we all seen what's happened with Assassin's Creed now. It's practically the same game every year apart from Black Flag. So I feel like 4 felt. Oh no, I was really looking forward to 4 because I loved 3. And even then, I was bored of 4 by the time I completed it because it was literally 3 but in the mountains. So I'm glad they've maybe said put this out now so they can do another Far Cry on an island somewhere in 2 years ago. But speaking of islands, you went to one far away, Greg. And what did you play in Japan? Because there must have been some weird shit in Japan.
Oh,
Japan, for God's
it was
sake.
a totally different. It was like a different world completely. Yeah, I went to Tokyo. Not last month. I know I said last month. Last week. We're going to talk about arcades, but the main kind of game I was looking forward to playing was Pokken Tournament.
What the balls is Pokken Tournament?
It's basically Pokemon Taken, which is
So
kind of clear with the name. It's Pokemon and Taken put together, but
okay.
it's kind of I don't really know. It's coming out on Wii U on March 18th, I think.
Yeah.
Sometime in March, coming out on Wii U. But it's been kind of in the arcade scene in Japan for a while. It's not I honestly expected to walk in and see queues of people waiting to play it, packed out. But it was really hard to find to begin with. Actually, I only found it at the Pokemon Center.
There's a Pokemon Center in Japan.
There's 4. I went to the biggest one. It's in Sunshine City. It's called the Mega Pokemon Center of Tokyo, I think. And there's millions of different fucking plushies. It's insane. But anyway, it's it's kind of outside. There's only 4 machines of it. I was right, cool. So I played it, and I thought it was really hard to find at this point because I went into so many arcades looking for it because I was dying to fucking play it, and I couldn't find it anywhere. But then after I found it first time, I kind of found out a wee bit more. But it was no one was playing it. Everyone was playing this other game. I can't remember what it was called, but it was a kind of a piano kind of tap revenge game. If you remember Tap Revenge in iOS, that's a while ago. It was kind of like that, but see the speed these people were doing it at. It was insane. And no one was playing Pokken Tournament. It was good. It was kind of heavy-handed. If you're into your fighters, kind of Street Fighter, probably more Tekken. You probably are into if you're into Pokemon as well. It's probably worth trying it out. It's heavy-handed. It's online might be quite good, but I was doing local multiplayer, and it was you could easily spam the buttons and fucking annihilate who you're playing because it was just there was no skill to it at all, and I was trying my hardest do all the cool moves and stuff, but I was just getting fucking hammered because these people were just button mashing. It was pretty good. I think it'll probably do well.
Yeah. It's just the novelty of it, isn't it? A fighting game with Pokemon people.
Yeah,
Wasn't there a Pokemon? What was the Pokemon Arena? Maybe I think it was an old game.
There was one called Pokemon Coliseum, but it was just it was a kind of 3D world. It wasn't a fighting game. It's really weird.
Coliseum was just Pokemon, but in 3D, wasn't it?
Wasn't it literally? Yeah, I think I may have played it, but I can't really remember.
Oh no, I think you're thinking of Pokemon Battle Arena. Battle Arena was just a fighting game.
Maybe.
I've never heard of that. This is news to me.
Right, since we're talking about Pokemon, what the fuck is this Detective Pikachu shite? Because is it real or not?
Yeah, it's real. It comes out in Japan, and don't know.
I thought it was a joke at first because the
something.
music is literally Sherlock Holmes music.
It is. It's it looks absolutely amazing. It's just like Pikachu, but he talks and he has a really kind of masculine voice. I think.
No, he doesn't. Surely not. That's
I don't know.
So weird.
I can't remember. Maybe that's. I saw someone tweet. I can't remember who it was. He tweeted something I've always pictured Pikachu having a really deep masculine voice, and I just thought it was the funniest thing ever. But it is real and it is happening. I don't know what it's like. I don't know if it was going to be kind of Ace Attorney or something like that. I think it looks fucking hilarious.
Is it Pikachu knocking about in like the real world, or is it Pokemon? Is it Pikachu in the Pokemon world and like investigating murders of like other Pokemon? So it's like there's a dead Magikarp on the floor, and you're gonna like find out who did it, and it was like fucking, I don't know, the lazy fat one that I can't remember the name of. Snorlax. Yeah.
I don't know, actually. I think
because that would be funny then. If it was just real world with Pikachu in it, I think that'd be a little bit. Just like the charm of it would wear off quite quick. But if it was like you had to investigate murdered Pokemon, that'd be sick.
I think it can't be real world, because that would be well gruesome. Like if you just stood next to like a bleeding body that's like real life.
Yeah, that is a very good point.
It's a bit kind of R-rated for Nintendo, I think.
That would be weird. Was there any other weird stuff you played in Japan? And we'll in the Patreon bit after we'll talk about weird Japan stories of the place in general, but when we're just talking about games, was there anything else you came across?
There was loads of like rhythm games are absolutely huge in Japan, and there was loads of Final Fantasy, what was it called, Disida, I think it was called, and it was these kind of like there was loads of these machines, and the higher you got up in the arcades, the more smoky they got because people can smoke inside, and it was like people literally sitting there putting their life savings into these fucking machines and like go like hands moving as fast as fuck, like doing the cards, doing all the buttons and all that, and like they've just been sitting there for like 3 fucking weeks straight, haven't like been outside, and like their skin is like pasty as fuck, and you're just like, get a life. And the weirdest thing actually there was this massive like kind of big box thing, and they had like loads of seats in it and like big massive screens in front of them, and there was this huge screen kind of right at the back, and it was a horse racing, and you could bet on like virtual horse racing, and these people were sitting there like actual like leaning back, like drinking beer and smoking like while they betted on this fucking virtual horse racing. And I walked in, and I turned to like I was there with my boyfriend David, and I was like, how the fuck does this this happen? Like, why not just bet on real horses? But it was a fucking experience. Like, I would actually recommend going to Japan just to go in an arcade and just go, what the fuck is going on?
How much Danganronpa stuff was there?
Absolutely fuck all. I saw one thing. There was loads of Persona stuff, but there was no Danganronpa. Like, there was loads of claw machines, and they had like Gudetama and Real Akuma, and I fucking won loads of them. Like, I cleared out these claw machines basically, but there was no Danganronpa at all. I mean, I saw like Danganronpa another episode. Like I saw it in a game shop, but that was it. I was fucking well disappointed.
That's devastating, because you couldn't get like a Teddy Monokuma.
I've already got one, but
fair enough.
I wanted like another one,
an authentic one from the source.
But no, there was loads of Persona stuff, and I fucking like basically filled my case with Persona stuff. So I was happy with that.
Alright, fair play. It sounds interesting. Obviously, we'll talk about more of it when we get to the Patreon backer segment. But now I need to talk to you about Klaus, because right, do either of you know what Klaus is?
Yeah, it's the fish off American Dad.
Right, no, well, it is technically, but not that close. Do you know the Klaus that is the other game that came out this week instead of The Witness?
I actually saw the review on our site, but didn't read it, which is probably bad.
That's a bit of a dig.
If you are on our website, please read the reviews.
Yeah, do
it. I just didn't have time. I just saw it and I was like, I don't know what that is. So please explain, Dan. I'm ready to hear.
Basically, Klaus is a platformer. To put it simply, it is literally just a platformer, quite similar to, I don't know what it's similar. See, it's a weird game because it's similar to lots of things, then nothing alike everything else the way it is. So at the face value, it's just a simple platformer, but then as the deeper you go in, the more like fourth wall breaking and expectation defying it becomes. I think I described it as, and it was basically the plot is that this guy wakes up in a basement. He doesn't know who he is, where he is, or who he is. He's just got Klaus written on his arm. That's it. Then you have to guide him through these levels up to, I think there's 5 or 6 floors, and there's 5 chapters on each floor, and then there's the problem is there's loads of fucking levels. It goes on for far too long, and as you're guiding him through the worlds, he realizes that you're playing, because you can interact with the world using the touchpad. The touchpad actually got a meaningful run out, and you can like move platforms and open gates and stuff. So he knows you're there, and he's like a sentient being, like trying to talk to you through walls and stuff. And it's interesting because he'll as he comes to remember who he is, he like fights your control of him, and he'll like start ignoring your inputs, and then so he'll do the opposite of what you say, which is really fucking annoying. And then eventually he'll just stop listening altogether, and he'll just walk continuously, and then you have to like safeguard him to make sure he doesn't die. So it's stuff like that. So like that, and with the way it constantly changes expectations by like making up mechanics and rules and then just destroying them. It's really, really interesting, but it just goes on. There's so many levels that it just absolutely drags. And then the story itself is a bit flat. Like, the story's told in two ways. There's, in the main real world, there's like him as he's going through it and discovering and like what he's observing and stuff. And then there's like, in each chapter there's loads of secret areas which are quite interesting because they're the most basically it'll be like, if he's remembering that he's left-handed, there'll be a level, the level is you can only move left. And then if there's a level that he remembers is a twin, it's like you've got control two Klauses that are parallel to each other as they jump over obstacles and stuff. So it is interesting and then these special areas like, you know, remind him of who he is and stuff. So that bit's interesting, but the real world stuff, it just falls so flat, and having so much of it just doesn't half drag, which was quite a shame because it is really inventive and different to a lot of stuff. But yeah, it's weird. I don't know if I'd recommend it at all because it's. I gave it 7 out of 10, and it does deserve it because it is, like, as I say, it's interesting and stuff. But it just drags, and I thought I was about halfway through and I wanted it to end, and it just kept on going and going and going. I just couldn't deal with it at all. But something else, as I alluded to, that's come out this week and is quite inventive, Stubbsy, is The Witness, and you've been playing that, haven't you?
I have. I've been playing. I don't know actually, because I lost a good hour and a half to it earlier when I didn't mean to. I've probably played getting on for 5-ish, maybe 6 hours. Or probably not that long. I'd say close to 5. And I'm starting to get the hang of looking for Blow's little like hints and stuff.
Right.
Because when you first start off, it kind of, providing you go the right way, which you don't have to do, but providing you go the right way, it kind of does a very good job of explaining, not explaining because it doesn't talk to you at all, but it guides you through, giving you a little bit of extra information about each puzzle as you go along. And so for the first probably hour and a half-ish, there's a very sort of managed learning curve, and then it kind of goes, and it makes you feel very clever when you figure stuff out. And then it kind of goes, right, fuck you, you've learnt enough now, go figure it out for yourself. And I imagine that point will be where quite a few people bounce off, because it is, again, it depends where you go, because it's like an open world. You can do whatever you want, whenever you want. But there's some puzzles that you probably won't have the knowledge how to do, unless you get super lucky, until you've done other areas. So I, kind of did the bad thing and ran to the other side of the map, found the puzzle and just went, I do not know what any of this means. So I ended up sort of going back to another area, and then once you get into the swing of things, it gets really good, and each sort of area will have a constant theme, and I'm not going to discuss the themes because they're puzzle solutions, and it will kind of spoil the game, because even mentioning the smallest little thing can ruin a puzzle. Like, I was talking to Nicola, who's also playing it, and I was like, oh, this puzzle was really good, and I described it, and she was like, oh, I haven't done that one yet, but I got really stuck on this one, and she described it, but the way that we described it was I found it later, was kind of a spoiler, because once I found the puzzle, I noticed something that she had said, and then was like, oh, right, that must be the solution.
Yeah. Is it? Is it? So are you enjoying it? Because I've been looking at and reading about it and stuff. I just can't help but think it looks so dull because you are literally just. It's beautiful, don't get me wrong, but you are just literally walking around and doing these dot quizzes, which you don't need the elaborate world to walk around in to do them. Really, it could have literally just been a brain training exercise, couldn't it? So why is it good? if you get me.
Right, I'm going to explain why I like it.
Okay.
And because that's kind of all I can do. But I feel like this is going to be for a very, very small subset of people. So for you two listening to this, you're probably going to think, well, that doesn't appeal to me at all for that reason. But I kind of like programming, like computer programming.
Okay.
And like, I'm not very good at it, but I like to set myself like small tasks. Like I'm currently working on making a digital CV portfolio thing that involves a bit of coding and stuff. And I like that because it's a lot of problem solving. But they're always like quite small puzzles. Like you're never gonna, like the level of coding I do, you're never gonna find a problem that takes you 3 weeks to solve. And the puzzles in The Witness kind of appeal to that same thing.
Okay.
Like it can have you stumped for a decent amount of time, but then you'll get it eventually. And it kind of feels to me the same as like figuring out what is wrong with my code. And it also helps that it's clearly made by, like, Jonathan Blow is a hardcore programmer himself, so there's sort of little things that you think, yeah, that, like, I get that. So yeah, for like, if you're a programmer or want to be a programmer or know something about programming, you'll fucking love this because like it's built for you.
It like taps into that mindset, I suppose.
Yeah, why everyone else likes it, I haven't got a clue.
See, it seems like I don't know what it is. I don't know if it gives like fulfillment for feeling like you're clever when you do the puzzles.
I think it does.
Or
I've
if it
seen
just
a lot of
taps
people.
into that mindset. and
I've seen a
stuff.
lot of people say that like you get, as I said earlier, kind of puzzles in a certain area generally have similar solutions.
Yeah.
And that moment where you figure out what that solution is,
Yeah, like
and then
that
you
trick,
sort of,
and
and
then
then
you
you
could do
crack
20 in
on
a
and do
row.
like 3 in a row.
Yeah,
That's
I
where
get it.
people really like feel clever.
Yeah, I suppose it's really clever design. Really, if you can get those like emotions going and whatnot, and that feeling of like success, and it's fair play, isn't it?
Oh yeah, like as a game, it's like brilliant. Like you will not find a better game like without a proper detailed story and narrative and all like that. This is like up there.
Oh, fair. It definitely sounds interesting. I just don't know. I think the price point is a bit of a sticking point for me. I think we discussed this last week on podcast about pricing of stuff, and I think maybe, but yeah, about the price of The Witness, saying that, and I know it's meant to be like hours long. I think I've read 60 or 40 hours, something like that, if you complete like all the 600 fucking puzzles or whatever.
I read somewhere like it was going to be 80. I think it was a Guardian that said it was going to be 80, and I was like, fuck that. Like, I mean, I've put like 100 hours into Bloodborne, but I'm like,
I've got not
I'm
got
not
enough
okay with
time to
that.
play like Fallout and Metal Gear and stuff like that. Games actually, I'd like. I don't know how to word this or not.
like want to play.
Well, there is that, but it's more like that's something a bit different to literally just walking about and doing puzzles. And you know what I mean? It just seems like if you're liking it, and a lot of like literally everyone I've seen is really liking it. It's obviously worth it, but I think for me personally, especially as a lowly student, it's just a bit much. So yeah, so you are enjoying it a lot then, Stubbsy. How much have you played?
Like about 5 hours, I'd say. I really like it. Yeah, man. I'm gonna keep playing it. Whether I finish all however many different puzzles there are, God knows. But at the moment, it's keeping me interested, and it's like I kind of just want to sack off the pod and go play it now.
Well, I'm afraid
Not
you
that bad,
can't
are
do
we?
that. Well, we're gonna. I suppose that is a segment that we're gonna close there, and joining me, or us, I should say, in just a matter of seconds for you, lucky listeners, will be Tymon Smektala of Techland, the producer of Dying Light, to talk to us about all things Dying Light. Hello, everyone. I am now here, as I mentioned, with Tymon I'm so sorry.
I make it easy for you. It's Tymon Smektala from Techland, and I am the producer of Dying Light: The Following, the new expansion pack for the game.
I literally could not have. You just saw that I could not have introduced him better myself. So, Tymon, as you said, The Following, we may as well kick off straight away, is coming out on February 9th, so pretty soon for Dying Light.
Yep.
I suppose for the uninitiated, what is it exactly?
The Following.
What is it?
Yeah, okay.
What are we going to be doing in The Following?
Okay, of course. So it's a huge expansion pack for the base game. It's a completely new story, lots of new gameplay mechanics, The biggest one of those is, of course, the introduction of vehicles, the dune buggies, dirt buggies that you can drive around the new map. The new map is as big as the base game itself. In the base game, we had 2 maps, the slums and the old town. So now the new map, the countryside, is as big as those 2 maps combined. Well, there's plenty of things to talk about, so maybe let's just continue with the subject, and you ask me questions and I will tell you everything that's there to know about the following.
As you said, it's adding buggies as one of the biggest new mechanics, and obviously the base game doesn't have cars of any kind really. It's just you navigate the world through parkour and whatnot. So how did the decision come about of putting buggies in the following, which seems so different from the base game?
Well, the thing is, everyone kept asking us about buggies, about the vehicles, about being able to drive over zombies in a car. So we decided, hey, why not do that? We wanted to do, and the other thing is that we asked people to wait almost a year for the expansion packs, for a proper expansion pack. So we decided that maybe we could just do something different, not follow the most obvious route just by introducing a new map which is urban-like, where you can just hop on top of the roofs, on top of the rooftops. Why not introduce something more interesting, something cool, and something that people have been asking us about since the release of the base game? So we Poles in general are ambitious, so we decided that we should go with that. And of course, if we knew how many problems that would bring us, then probably we would just skip it. But as we went along, we realized that it was a very tricky decision from the development point of view, because we had to rearrange and recode and retweak almost every part of the game. It wasn't like we took the base mechanics from the game, the AI systems, the co-op systems, network code, and we just use them in the expansion pack. We had to do lots of the stuff just starting from scratch. So it was hard work, but I think it was worth it, because the expansion pack turned out to be a really cool addition to the Dying Light universe.
This sounds quite interesting actually. You were talking about other mechanics as well as the buggy. What else added is there in the following?
Well, most of the things that are there are the things that people wanted us to introduce to Dying Light. So there are things like crossbows. Now you have more occasions, more opportunities to fight with human enemies. So a stealth weapon like a crossbow comes in very handy. Then people also kept asking us for more firearms. So we introduced more firearms. We increased the limit of ammo you can carry with yourself. So you can use firearms, shotguns, rifles, submachine guns, all of the new stuff that we introduced in Dying Light the following, if you want to. There are new melee weapons related to the countryside atmosphere, to the countryside way of living. So there are sights, hand saws, and stuff like that. There are new blueprints. So basically, lots of new stuff.
If I could just ask, how did the following expansion get so big? Not that it's a problem or anything, but obviously with the main game, it's kind of double the size. Was it a planned decision to make it so big, or was it just kind of accidental, or was it to kind of facilitate the buggies?
Well, if you introduce something that drives as fast as our buggies, you need to have a huge map. The maps in the base game were prepared for players just running on their feet, and now they have buggies that run like 10 or 20 times faster. So the map had to be big. And the other thing is, we also had to find a way to make the new map to be able to support both the buggy gameplay and the parkour gameplay. So we had to find places to introduce areas where where buggy is not as useful, but you can use your parkour skills to traverse the environment. So and of course, there are lots of places where you can use both. Things that we found out that things that could be an obstacle for a buggy are great platforms for a parkour guy to just run over. So the map is big mainly because of that.
I was actually going to ask: is there still because obviously the map has to be a bit more open to facilitate the buggies? Is there still loads of opportunities to be using the parkour and whatnot?
Yeah, so there are mountain ranges that you can climb on, and where you can use parkour. There are certain objects on the fields, things like I don't know, bales of hay,
Okay.
huge rolls of hay on which you can jump over. There are fences, there are little walls. There are, of course, there are buildings. There is a special area which is completely closed from road traffic. You are unable to go there using your buggy. You just have to leave your buggy and use parkour skills to go there. What's cool about this area is that it's like a small seaside town which is full of interesting and very valuable loot. So it is something that tempts you to leave the buggy and just go there on your feet, but it's also a very dangerous place. So it's a very risk and reward type of thing. So I think that the new map accommodates all of the styles of play people can come up with.
Talking about the buggies, how deep does the customization and all that, and your own input into the buggies, how deep does that go? How much can you customize?
I'd say it's quite deep. You can customize your buggy in three ways. The first one is parts. Parts are the things that change the attributes, the parameters of your buggy. So you can change its top speed, acceleration, grip, braking power, and stuff like that. So you can basically tweak with what's beneath the hood of the buggy to make it run faster and be a better vehicle. Then there are upgrades, and upgrades are like your active skills. Some of them are also passive skills that you can use to increase your chances of survival. So there are things like armor that you can put on your buggy. There are rams. There are spikes. There are flamethrowers. Mine dispenser. There is lots of cool things that you can do to kill zombies with. You can use to kill zombies with. And the third aspect of buggy customization is a strict visual customization. So there are more than 50, I'd say it's about 70 skins or paint jobs or liveries that you can put on your buggy to make your buggy stand out when you play with other people in co-op. Because what's cool about the following is that you can play the whole game in 4-player co-op as in the base game, and if you play it in co-op, everyone has his own buggy. So you can use different buggies. You can customize your buggy to look different than the buggy of your friends, and you can even leave the zombies and leave the story all together and just race around the countryside to see who's the best driver.
Does your buggy, when you're playing single player, also will it like travel with you when you're playing in multiplayer and co-op as well?
Yep. So basically, at the start of the game, your job is to steal your buggy from a group of bandits, and if you do that, then that's your buggy. And how you customize it is up to you. And if you take that buggy to a co-op session, then it goes with you. So, for example, as I said, if players decide that they just want to leave killing zombies and have some fun just racing, then it's up to you to customize your buggy to be most suited to that kind of activity.
Me and Greg here have actually been playing a lot of Dying Light recently because we never knew you could play in co-op. Did we, Greg? And then
No, it was a totally new thing for me. I knew there was a kind of like multiplayer element, but I'd been playing single player all the way up, and then Dan was like, "We should do co-op," and it was like a totally different experience. It totally changed the game. It felt like a totally different game, and I think in the Fallen that will obviously kind of be a bigger part, especially with the buggies. But it was a totally kind of a different experience playing with someone else. But it definitely adds to it. I would say.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
Well, so we wanted to keep some of the things that we realized that worked for the base game in terms of co-op. So, for example, in the co-op game, you got these little challenges or co-op competitions where we're asked to compete with other players, trying to complete some kind of an objective. So there are things like that in the following as well. But of course, most of them use buggies now. So every time when the mission asks you to go somewhere, if it makes sense story-wise, then there's a story competition, co-op competition that there's you who goes there as the first one gets some kind of a prize, and then of course other things. If your job is to reach some kind of a compound and it's surrounded by zombies, then you get a competition where you have to kill the most zombies with your buggy when you're near that compound. So I think if you like playing in co-op, you also like playing the following in co-op.
I was wondering, will there be any new zombie variations in the following? Because obviously there's loads in the base game. You got the spitters, the suiciders, the big guys.
Yes, but I wouldn't go as far to say that there are new types of zombies, but there are variations of the zombies that we had in the base game. So, for example, there are new volatiles, the night zombies. They are more scary.
Okay.
Well. Let me tell you, they really are way more scary.
That's bad news for Dan.
They're harder to kill. They're more dangerous. We tweak the AI behavior as well, so they cooperate better. So it's harder to escape them. So there are other variations like that. There are, for example, we have virals. Those are the fast zombies that we have. Game, so now they got heavier, so it completely changed how they behave. The dynamic of the fight with them. Another thing is that most of our zombies learned new tricks. So, for example, the virals, the fast ones can now jump on your buggy and grab on your buggy and try to hit you and get you when you're driving the car. So it creates very tense moments when you try to drive your car as fast as you can, and there is a zombie on the hood of your car trying to reach you. So you can use one of the gadgets that you have, one of the weapons that you have, or you can just try to smash into something to make that viral go away and detach from your car.
It sounds quite terrifying. Does bashing into stuff and whatnot take an effect on the buggy? Like, do you have to repair it?
It still is a survival game. So you have to keep your buggy fueled. You have to keep your buggy in a good condition, and so all of the parts of your buggy can get damaged, can break. So it's up to you to repair them. So you maybe not constantly. It depends on how good a driver you are. But if you drive carelessly, or if you smash into too many zombies, or if you get attacked by the fast ones quite often, and you just bump onto things trying to detach them, then your buggy will get damaged. So then you have to leave your car again and go try to loot abandoned vehicles on your feet, trying to find parts that you can use to repair your buggy. And the same thing goes for fuel. Your buggy needs to be refueled. So if you're low on fuel, you need to leave your buggy or just stop by some car that's abandoned, of some car of unfortunate soul that got eaten by zombies. And you have to try to see if there is any fuel left in that car, and then you can use that fuel. And of course, it creates lots of emergent gameplay moments where you're just driving from point A to point B, trying to complete your objective, your mission, and then you're low on fuel. So then you have to leave your car, and then something quite often happens that kind of throws you off balance and makes the gameplay more interesting.
So it's very fun indeed. Talking about Dying Light in general, the whole game, did you expect Dying Light to be as popular as it is? I think the report I read this afternoon was I think that was published in August, so it's sold over 5 million copies. Yep. So did you ever expect it to be this popular, and still is, with loads of people still playing it, with the following coming out soon?
Well, we wanted it to be as big as it is, but to be honest, we knew. Of course, when you create something new, and Dying Light was a new IP last year, you never, until it's released and until people start playing it and start enjoying it, you always uncertain. You never know what's going to happen. So there was this moment right before the release of the game when we felt uncertain. But then we started playing our game for real, and we realized that we really created something which is lots of fun.
Yeah.
So we knew that the game. So even before the game was released, we knew that the game is good. So we were really hoping that it's going to be a success. But the scope of that success, I think, that surprised us as a company and as personal developers, as individual developers. It kind of surprised us. But it's a great thing, and we also but it's not also like some kind of a stroke of luck.
Yeah.
We really work hard to keep the momentum of Dying Light going, to keep the interest of people, to build community around our game, and we learned a lot of things along the way. But I think the last year was the most. How could I put it? Well, basically, it was a honeymoon for us, which lasted for a year. Each day we learned something new. Each day we were able to understand our players, our community even better. Each day we were able to think of something that could make the game even better for them and for us.
Yeah, as you said then, Dying Light is quite unique with the parkour in the zombie game. I don't think there's much like it, if anything at all, really. What was like the decision behind that, making it like so different to other zombie games out there with the parkour?
Well, I think it was a natural evolution of Dead Island for us, because with Dead Island we also found some success. The Dead Island sold also a couple of million copies, so it was a very successful game. But I think it was a little underrated. It was a little I think it didn't get as much respect as it could or as it should, and it was probably some of it was our fault, where the game was a little buggy at the start, where we were an unknown developer from some strange country for most of the people, especially in US. So it was kind of hard to get people attention. So with Dying Light, we wanted to take our game and take our studio to the next level, to do something which could really exceed what we achieved before. So we from the start we knew that we wanted to do something that will make people notice, that people will just stop and look and see that it is different, and we try to do something that that wasn't done before.
Yeah.
So and as I said, all Poles are ambitious. I think it is in our DNA. So that was also another thing that made us do this.
I found.
Did the kind of teething problems of Dead Island affect the kind of decision to move on to like a new IP of Dying Light? Obviously, Dead Island 2 is kind of floating about elsewhere, but was it the kind of issues with it affect the kind of decision to kind of go with Warner Brothers and go with Dying Light, or was it just kind of a kind of set thing?
Well, it's hard for me to say, because I'm involved in development of the game, and I try to not get involved in the business side of things, because it's to be honest, it's just boring to me. So there were a lot of business things going around the Island and Dying Light, but it turned out to be the best decision that we could do as a studio, and basically that's all I can say. We are very happy with where we are right now with Dying Light and with our partnership with Warner Bros. And that's all that I'm interested in.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because for me, as a game developer, as a producer, that kind of situation that just make me comfortable, where I can just focus on my work. I know that we have all of the resources that we need, and we have all of the contacts and support that we need to make our game successful.
A lot of the mechanics, as I've been playing, as I said, me and Graham have been playing Dying Light a lot recently, and we've been laughing so much, because I find that a lot of the mechanics are like not just fun to play, but are fun to just watch, like slide tackling, sliding into zombies and kicking them off cliffs, and running on zombies. I never tire of seeing. So did you like intentionally want Dying Light to not only like be fun to play, but be funny to watch? So, like when you're in co-op, you see your partner doing something funny. Was the aim to make it funny to see as well?
Well, of course, some of the things that you mentioned were conscious. Some of the things were just happened by accident, where we were trying to play the game in co-op, and someone did something that maybe wasn't as good looking as it should be, but we realized that there is some kind of a move or some kind of a skill or a feature that we could develop even more. So basically, making games is it's a process of constant iteration. So you just create the first version of your game, which is always shitty, but then you start playing it and you realize these things work, these things don't work, so you just focus on the things that work and you try to develop them even more. And while you play the game, you open your eyes and your imagination, seeing things and realizing things that could go into the game to make it even better. So some of the things we introduced because we knew that these things were going to work, that these things could work and could make the game interesting. But some of the things we just invented along the way.
Techland, as a developer, they've been very. You mentioned earlier community, how you've been talking with your community, and I found that last year I should say, that Techland have been a very interactive studio with the likes of the Glass of Water DLC. Yep. And the tribute to that Miss David Adcott, who sadly passed away. Mm-hmm. So, has it been like a conscious decision to be so interactive with your fans, or did it just like naturally happen? Because I have been like, there seems to be a good story about Techland popping up every couple of weeks or so, and it's just been very nice to see.
Well, as I said, we found out with Dead Island that you can make a good game, but if no one realize that you are a good guy, if no one realize that there's this developer that tries to do something cool, then you might not get the respect and the recognition that you feel you deserve and that you feel you should get. So we just started focusing on those things, and we just started communicating with the guys that play our game. And because of internet and stuff, it's extremely easy now because of all of the social networks and things like that. So and when we started talking to our fans, to our players, we realized that we can learn lots of things from them. So it's really something that I think works for both parties. They get something from us because it really is a pleasure to do something for people that play your game even a year after it's released. And it's also very beneficial for us when we can just learn stuff from them and see things that we do from a different perspective. Even if you have 200 people working on your studio and you have the best QA team ever and you do lots of focus tests, you never get as sincere and as broad opinion about what you do unless you give the game to the gamers, to the players, and see what the reaction is.
Yeah, that makes sense. Obviously, Dying Light at night time is absolutely terrifying. Like I couldn't, before I realised there was co-op, I couldn't go out at night on my own. I physically couldn't do it, and like it's only from my brave partner Greg that I've managed to be able to get through it. So
I had to force him. So
yeah. Was there any inspirations from other games or movies or anything that inspired the horror aspect of and the zombie design and whatnot of Dying Light?
Well, I think it's hard to point to like one specific source of inspiration for the night experience. Well, that was written in the design doc, in the first design doc of the game, that we want to make a game which is which has those different elements, different types of gameplay combined into one experience. We knew that we wanted to have a day and night cycle which not only changes how the game looks but also how the game plays. So of course we did our research well. We played lots of the games that have some kind of a night gameplay, things like starting from the most obvious things like Assassin's Creed or Grand Theft Auto, and ending with more horror-like games like Slender, and basically all of the horror games that or Amnesia, all of the horror games that focus on the horror aspect of basically interaction with players. And I think we just consciously and subconsciously took bits from one game or another, from one movie or another. Of course, movies like I Am Legend were also an inspiration for us, where the whole concept of day and night cycle and enemies, mutants, zombies that get more aggressive during the night. That's the concept that the movie is based on in as well. So we just took bits of inspiration from everywhere that we could, but I think we we use them just as inspiration to create something which is our own.
Yeah, obviously, of course. I was just wondering, is there any plans to support Dying Light and the following after the following's release? Is there any further DLC plans or just any extras you're planning on adding, or are you going to be moving on to a possible next project after the following's released?
For now, the idea is to get the following out to the players and support the game for some time after its release. Because as always, we need to see how players react to that, and if they see anything that's wrong, I hope they won't. But if they see anything that's not working as they think it should, we will surely fix it. If they see something that they would like to see developed even more, that they would see that they would want to have in bigger numbers after the release of the game, then maybe we'll just give that to them. But for now, we are just focusing on the following. That's our main goal, to keep the momentum going and to put the name of Dying Light in people's consciousness and people's minds, and to create the idea that Dying Light is something which is valuable, which is something which is cool, and something that they should keep their eye on in the future as well.
Is there any plans at all for Dying Light sequel? Is there a possibility of it at all?
There's nothing to talk about at the moment, really. If you visited our studio, there's no code or nothing that could be described as some kind of a sequel to Dying Light. Of course, the IP is successful, so we are thinking about what we can do with it next, but there are no concrete plans about nothing at the moment. What we are focusing right now is Dying Light the following.
So Greg and Mike, have you got anything else to ask before I ask this final question, which I've been made to do?
You're having to prep for.
Yeah.
Nothing. I think we've just covered it all.
Yeah, Mike, anything at all?
Just a quick one from me. I went back to the base game a couple of days ago and was playing it on PC with a Steam controller, and the lock picking doesn't really work with the Steam controller. Okay. So is that going to be fixed in the following, or?
So yeah, we still have a couple of days to iron out all of the things in the PC version, and it is on our list to do. So hopefully we'll be able to make it for the release of the following, and all of the little things that popped out after the release of the Steam controller, we will be able to fix them.
That is the best news I have heard all day.
So I guess it's now I've got to ask this question. Basically, Tymon, beloved website God is a Geek, asks this question at the end of every interview, so it isn't just so it doesn't come as such of a culture shock. Basically, do you keep your ketchup in the fridge or on the shelf?
In the fridge.
Oh, that is a disappointing answer.
Is it a wrong answer?
It is for this. I think most of God is a Geek will agree with you, but on this one podcast, we're all cupboards. Is there any particular reason for the fridge at all?
Well, I don't use ketchup that much. So I think that if I keep it refrigerated, then it will just last longer.
You can't argue with solid tomato sauce pragmatism, can you?
Sorry.
No, it's fine. Tymon, thank you very much for coming and talking to us. And when will the following be out for everyone to go and play?
February 9th on all of the platforms, so it's PC, PS4 and Xbox One.
Tymon, thank you very much. And
thank you very much.
See you soon. So yeah, thank you to Tymon from Techland for that brilliant interview. And now, well, that's the end of the God is a Geek podcast, which is such a shame. My second ever hosting duty has come to an end, which I don't know. I hope it's going to end a bit better than the last one, but I don't know if these two I'm with.
How did the last one end? What happened?
Basically, I was trying to do the Patreon bit, and then Adam and Colin just started going, nah, fucking, I don't know why I was hosting when Adam and Colin were on there. I think it's because Dan wasn't Dead Nails wasn't hosting, so he got me to host, and then Colin and Adam suddenly became available, so that they just let me host it. And then at the end, when I was trying to do all the Patreon and all the plugin, they just went, don't fucking bother, and just talked over me.
It's okay. Like last time I worked with Colin on something, he tried to rebrand us as a Far Cry Primal fan site. So.
Oh, I did see that. That was fairly amazing. But nobody came up with a good pun.
No, that's because I lost it. Like I was uncontrollably laughing by that point. He just edited it out.
Oh, you should. I'm saying this though, but this is when we do podcast crossover again. On the football podcast I do with Colin, my days, because he's the host, obviously, me and Mr. Andrew Knowles, we derailed him like fuck at the beginning of it. It was beautiful. He kept trying to talk about Liverpool 5, Norwich 4, and we just kept bringing up random topics. I think he lost it at the end. But
derailing Colin is like my favourite pastime.
He loses it, doesn't it? Because he has OCD of his like process of hosting, and like for each podcast he has his own like outros and whatnot. And now when we disrupted the fucking equilibrium, I think he's having a bit of a. He probably just drank a lot of tea to chill out or something. I hope he's probably editing this now and then just calling me. But anyway,
if he is, hi Colin.
Yeah, hello Colin or Adam, whoever is listening to this. We've already talked about the weird happenings of tonight off air. I don't know. Right, this is going wrong again. Fuck's sake. Right, we're leaving it. This is end of God is a Geek podcast. And now I have to do what's the website? It's called godisageek.com. You can go there and you can read all manner of articles and reviews and whatnot. There's loads of it, more than anywhere else. I'll tell you that for a fact.
I'm fairly sure that's not a fact.
I don't want to get into this on live air, but we review more games than fucking loads of places. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, but I'm fairly sure we don't have more articles than the likes of.
Yeah, maybe not articles, but reviews.
Yeah, okay.
We're sick, man. What I'm trying to say is, we're sick, right? And because of our sickness, you should go and back us on Patreon. But I kind of don't know the fucking URL to it specifically.
Patreon.com/GodIsAGeek.
Thank you, Mike, because that would have been quite embarrassing. Well, it is already embarrassing, but hey ho. There's also youtube.com/GodIsAGeek. I suppose that's correct.
Yeah, that's right. Well done.
Where you can see all our wonderful YouTube content, which from when this has gone live, if you didn't see the fucking video that went live on the Friday gone, oh my days, get on it, because it's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Still haven't watched that.
You need to. It's so funny. But yeah, apart from that, I think it's only fair that we plug ourselves. So Greg, where are you on Twitter?
I am at Greg Hill. Just
Stubbsy.
Hill as in like Loudon Hill, as in like a hill.
Greg, where are you on Twitter?
You just
Greg. I'm just saying Greg. Fuck's sake, it's all gone wrong. Stubbsy, where are you on Twitter? Save me. That's getting cut. That best get cut.
I'm at Mike Stubbsy, and that's not getting cut at all because I just said this now.
Cut. Oh, fuck's sake, it's all gone pear-shaped. I am at Nabrowski, and as Colin would say on the Football Huddle, it's time to say adieu. So say goodbye, Greg.
Bye.
Say goodbye, Stubbsy.
Goodbye, Stubbsy.
There's always one in there.
It's always me.
It literally is. I remember listening to these podcasts way back then. It was always you. Anyway, it's goodbye from me too. See ya later.